All right, everybody, today we're going to spend some time working on mobility. We're going to work on the hip today, but really this could be applied to any other part of your body for any other range of motion. The position that we're going to be working in is like the pigeon pose. It's something that a lot of us are familiar with, and we're going to spend some time stretching that position and doing some other work to open up that range a little bit larger. Again, this will look a little bit different from other mobility work that you've done before. But what we're doing today provides us a groundwork to progress our mobility, which is really what we need when we train mobility. Just like we need when we train strength or when we're training our aerobic systems, we need to start somewhere that's acceptable for us at the time and then build it up over time. Just the same as if this was your first workout, you wouldn't go into maximum weight deadlifts. We'd start a little bit easier, maybe around like 60% of your best, then build up. Mobility is no different. So if this is your first time doing it, we're only going to work at about 70% intensity. But if you've done this multiple times, you could definitely build up to 80%, 90%, or even 100% intensity. But let's get started. To begin, we're going to find ourselves in that pigeon pose. So whichever leg forward that you're comfortable with, we're going to set on up. We don't need to be too specific about this. But what we want to do is make sure that we feel stretch in the back of your hip. What we don't want to do is just give up and round through our back. Again, our goal is to work our hip today, not our back. So in that position, we're going to find our stretch. Hands will be into the ground. Finding stretch in the back of your hip. If you don't feel that stretch too much, I want you to think about taking your pelvis and tilting it back, as if you're trying to point the bottom of your bottom back and up. I think arching through your back a little bit or tilt your pelvis maybe is a better way to think about it. And we'll hold that stretch for 2 minutes. Time goes on, it's been 2 minutes. Now, here's where we get into the real good stuff of mobility. What we're gonna do first is take your knee and foot and start pushing down into the ground. Let's call it 50% intensity to start. Then we'll push a little bit harder, call it 60%. And now let's go to 70% effort, pushing your knee and foot down into the ground. While pushing down to the ground, you should feel yourself working the muscles on the back of your leg, back of your hip, side of your leg, all that stuff. So we're pushing down. We'll go about 20 seconds. Then what we're gonna try to do is lift up your knee and foot both. So to do that, we're going to try to lift. Try for 20 seconds. You shouldn't be able to lift it if you're actually taking a big stretch back here. Make sure that you're not letting yourself cheat by rocking your body backward, but instead keep your hands placed into the ground. Again, we're lifting for 20 seconds, and then relax. See if you can go deeper into the stretch. Not by rounding through your back, but sinking back into this hip more, hinging more. After you've held that for a few seconds, we can come up out of it, go take a little walk, make sure that hip is feeling the way you want it to feel. Now, a couple more notes on this position. When we're here stretching, we should feel the back of your hip stretch. We don't want to feel any kind of pinching or pains on the inside of your hip. If you are getting that, just back off to a position where you're not experiencing any pain. Again, find that position, hold the stretch for 2 minutes, then we'll push down at about 70% intensity for 20 seconds, and then we'll try to lift up for 20 seconds. Again, your leg probably will not lift, and that's perfectly fine. The intention isn't necessarily to get it off the ground. The intention is just to contract the muscles on the inside of your hip. So if we do that well, that should be a good strength training mobility drill. Again, if it's your first time doing it, we only want to go to about 70%. But if you've done it 2, 3, 4, 5, multiple times, we can push that intensity higher. If this is your 4th time doing it, your 5th time doing it, your 10th time doing it, you can probably work at 100% intensity, pushing down into the ground, and then trying to pull up off the ground. If you're pushing down for 20 seconds, and then you're pulling up for 20 seconds, at maximum intensity, that should be every bit as hard, if not harder, than a maximum weight back squat or a deadlift. What we're trying to do here is really affect the body in a strong way. We're not just trying to stretch some muscles. We're trying to do some heavy-duty strength training where we work the body, but then also the nervous system as well. So I know this looks a little bit different from a lot of mobility work you've done before in the past. Maybe we're trying to relax into positions, but we're kind of trying to do the opposite here. We're trying to strength train to create mobility. If you have any questions on this, please feel free to ask me. I'd be happy to go over anything with anybody. We can go really deep into this stuff, but today I just want to keep it pretty superficial. Okay, too long, didn't watch the whole video. Stretch a position for 2 minutes, push down into the ground for 20 seconds, try to pull up off the ground for 20 seconds. Stretch, push, lift. And that's some good mobility work.